Well, if that isn't a great last name, ask you a question. Fredrik Ask, great to have you on the podcast.
Thank
And
you, man.
I've been enjoying trying to track down where you are and how you're doing. So it's fun to have an opportunity really to exchange. So in your own words, Fredrik, as I like to ask, who is Fredrik Ask?
Oh, difficult question. No, I've been playing paddle now for about 9 years. I'm from Oslo, Norway. Have my past like many other players in professional tennis. And that's it. Traveling around the world, hitting these yellow balls, and trying to stay afloat.
Yellow balls, are they, is it good that we have yellow balls? Should we also have orange balls, green balls? What do you think?
I don't know. I haven't thought too much about that dilemma, but maybe it could be nice with a change.
Well,
What's your
certainly
thought on
we.
that?
Well, there are lots of the court changes, right? You got your green, your blues, your now your clay courts. So there, I feel like there is going to be opportunities for little inventions and innovations on the outside to make the game more entertaining, more varied. I mean, it's already really varied, but for a spectator to watch, maybe that'll also add some elements of intrigue.
Of course. Yeah, no, I agree that. Could maybe do like a white court and a black ball, or a white ball and black court.
Hmm. Well, lots of variety. So I'm always curious about the transition from tennis to paddle. You began in 2016. You moved from
hmm
tennis to paddle. What made you start to move? What was the instigation of that?
Oh, I was playing a lot of tennis, like flying all around the world, playing like low-level challenger future tournament. I don't know how much you're into tennis, but
I
I
do my
wasn't at the
tennis.
point where you make a lot of money.
Hmm.
It was like 700-800 in the world ATP, and it's kind of a struggle. So there was way too much money going out and not too much coming into my pocket. So I figured as a
Yeah.
business decision in the end that we should do something else. And then my plan wasn't really to play any more racket sport. But then I had all my rackets out on this website after I played tennis, maybe 15 tennis rackets. And one Argentinian guy comes on my door and buys all the rackets. And I didn't think more of it. He goes where he goes, and half a year later, he calls me. Do you want to play an exhibition match in paddle? And at that time, I didn't even know what paddle was. I thought first off we were gonna go out, on the ocean and do the paddle board thing, but it was in
Right,
the middle of
right.
the winter. And then he just said, "No, it's tennis in a cage, and you're the only guy I know that that does racket sport." So I figured you would be good for this. So I went with him and then to this exhibition way outside of Oslo. There was an opening of a new club playing against two Argentinians, like good players. I had no clue what I was doing, didn't use the ball, just smacked every ball. And after that, I started liking the sport, but I had no idea what I was doing. But that was my introduction to paddle.
Wow. Well, the Argentinians, I I've got a call lined up with Viviana Corcuera. I would call her the original Argentinian because that's how, well, she instigated, of course, with her husband paddle and being Argentinian. The Argentinians have that sort of, they always used to have a really specific way of playing. It's sort of changed with the modern world. But back when I started playing, it was very specific, much slower, lots of chiquitas and lobs. I mean, much more than you have
Yeah,
in the
the
game
game
today.
developing.
And so you're a left-hander, which and I don't have often times to talk with a lefty because you
Okay.
guys really you screw it up for me. If I play on the right a lot, so I'm playing against left-handers whenever there is one in the diagonal, and your shots, of course, are very different for me to handle
hmm
versus when a righty's playing. But your transition, so your first game was, wow, eye opener, but how did you work on shifting from those tennis habits into
Oh.
paddle? Because as we know, that's not easy.
No, I'll tell you what I did. Like you said, I realized that this is a completely different game, right? So I kind of knew that I could stick to my tennis ways and kind of play okay,
Yeah.
get away with playing volleys and just blocking everything. But then I understood also that if I want to go some steps higher, I have to like get rid of all those ideas and basically become like an amateur and just start from scratch, like you doing the wall thing and turning and like slow motion with a coach. Like for years, I understood that it would take time. So I kind of like put away all my tennis things and tried to of course, keep the volleys and the smashes that what we have, which is good from tennis, but then like being humble and be like, okay, I'm just gonna like take in all this new info and actually try to understand the game. But it was hard mentally because I knew I could beat a lot of people playing the tennis way. But then at the same time, I saw that if I want to go a little bit higher, can't play that way. You know, so it was hard for my own self-esteem there. Period, feeling like a beginner. But that was my way of just basically just respecting the sport for being a different sport, and then trying to go from the basics. And I think that helped me also a lot because I see a lot of people. They, especially in Norway, level is not that high, but they still playing pretty much tennis inside of the court. You know.
Right. And now at the level you are, you're number one in Norway
Mm-hmm.
and in the top 200 in the world, you can sort of show the tennis player, you can make them eat mincemeat because you know how to manage those shots.
Yeah, and also what I didn't tell you is that after maybe 3 or 4 years, I moved to Madrid, and I was training at the Diagonal Padel Academy there for like almost a year, because I also understood that you have to go where the knowledge is. So I went there for almost a year and tried to learn even more, and that's when I started to play on the World Padel Tour, the one before the Premier. And now after the FIP switch, I haven't been playing that much FIP. So once upon a time, I was top 200, but now the last 2 years, I maybe played 4 or 5 FIPs, and mostly doing the money tournaments because I saw that it was a habit of, or it could fall back into the one with tennis where you just travel and make no money, you know, and chasing this. So I was a bit cautious about that. So now it's mostly money tournaments and coaching.
Yeah, well, surely the issues we've seen in the FIP with the men's side complaining about how it is for the players under 30 or worse than 30 because they have to do the qualifiers. They don't know when they're playing, how they're playing, how many games they're playing, and it's all sort of arranged around the top players who get the privilege of buys. They know when they're playing. It's a very different gig when you're outside of the top 30.
Yeah, I mean, if you're ranked 35, 40 in the world, you're still really, really good, right? So you should be earning some money. But the fact that they are not at this point is kind of sad for the sport, I think. Especially now when they have so much money pouring into the sport, but everything is being kept like right at the top, like you said. So they have a challenge to do in terms of organizing the future, also in terms of bringing more people into the sport, because it's not going to be lucrative for people to I want to play pro paddle, but then knowing that they have to be 20, 30 in the world to make it go around, you know.
And if your name isn't Ramon or Javi, then your chances of, if your name is Oscar or Minter, the chances of you making it into the top 30 are small. So you spent a month in Madrid. I'm sorry, a year in Madrid. And one of the things I like to think about is the culture of paddle. Do you think there is a culture to paddle? And if so, is it something that's merging well into the Norwegian spirit?
Oh, you mean like how the Spanish people look at paddle, you mean?
Yeah. Well, and the Argentinians, of course.
Oh, I mean, I know it's pretty much up there after football and those sports, but I don't know. I don't feel like it has like a foothold in the whole like community of the country yet. But I guess it's growing there too, because I know when I started, it wasn't even that popular in Spain, and like people were playing, but it wasn't like a huge sport. But I think now that all other Western and more Northern European countries started, I think they also got a boost in their own respective countries. Do you agree?
Well, what I was thinking about more was the culture of playing paddle.
Oh,
So
like the
if you're
style.
if you're in paddle, do you think that there's a culture of the people who are within the community of paddle?
Oh, I think that in the northern parts of Europe, it's becoming more of like a privileged sport, and it's more of like a people sport down in southern Europe. That's my feeling of the who's involved. It's kind of a shame though, because I don't want paddle to be like tennis. Where it's only like rich people can play, and 1 hour costs 100 euro and this stuff, you know. But I'm seeing the tendency at least in Norway, that is people capitalizing on charging huge amounts per hour, and it's leaning to more towards like a lot more like rich people playing, not being as people-y sport anymore.
Well,
But
what
that's
about
the development, though.
right? And so now your experience in Madrid, though, you were playing, let's call it, obviously in Madrid at Diagonal. It's still in a good, I mean, there's a good level. It's in Madrid, so it's an expensive city for Spain. Because if you go out to the outside, you can get a court for €5.
Yeah, but there the court cost like 8-9 euros at the club that Diagonal was using it. So that I feel like it was way more a humble crowd playing paddle in Spain that I see back in Norway and Sweden.
Well, that's so to the answer the question, how do I see it? That's something that I think is important in paddle. That humility, that groundedness. It's really not about showing off and having a cork up your bum and how prim and proper. There's an element of collegiality, and for paddle, not just you and your team. It's the four of you are participating in something bigger.
Exactly. I
All right,
100% agree with you.
cool. So one of the things I like to what I was understanding from what you're saying, Fredrik, is you're more playing in pay tournaments where there's a higher pay. It's not about your FIP ranking anymore. It's more about making sure you're making a living, and I totally understand that. What about your game itself? What elements of your game is now your strongest element since you've been playing now for 9 years?
I would probably say like the ability to move the people around and like create openings. I would say I have pretty good hands, like touch, but I can mix that up with like a good kick smash and keeping the people a little bit on their toes. So yeah, people don't know really what to expect when they play against me. Yeah, a lot
Well,
of variety.
I tend
I
to
would
say
say my strength.
that's what happens with lefties in general for me, is that the way, and I don't, it feels like it should be completely the same. You're right or left-handed,
Yeah, yeah.
but the lefty approach to the ball, for me, it lends itself to be a little bit more quirky.
Yeah, it looks different, but I think that's because we see so many videos all the time with right hand players, so our mind is kind of like stuck on the image on how a right hand hits the ball, and suddenly you see the other way, and you're like, oh, it looks strange, But I've been thinking about the same thing so many times, like you're saying now. Do we hit it differently? It looks like it's different touch to the ball.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
isn't that curious? I mean, when you're facing a lefty, I assume you must go through the same kind of issues that I go through.
yeah, in a way, because there's not that many lefties, so it always takes me like 1 or 2 games to like get adjusted to not hitting the lob in the middle anymore, because that's where he has his smash. And
Yeah.
so yeah, for sure, it's but I kind of
All
also
right.
live a little bit through him in the court because I know that what he kind of wants to do sometimes as a lefty. So
Yeah.
that can make me anticipate a bit faster than maybe a right hand sometimes.
Right. So I wanted just to talk a little bit about this idea of finding space, because I think that's an advanced concept, is
Mm-hmm.
finding the space. How do you instruct, as you're a coach, you obviously, let's say you have a player who's more technically able. What is
Mm-hmm.
it, what sort of things should you be thinking about when you're trying to get to that space, moving the players around?
Yeah, because I was about to say that really depends on the level of the customer, right? You cannot bring like a concept like creating space into a guy who cannot. You got to be able to hit within like half a meter where you aim. I would say to like try to do those kind of concepts. But for
Mm,
me, it's a lot about like teaching the people not where necessarily where the first bounce is all the time, because people are very
hmm
focused on the first bounce, right, and hitting hard, but trying to be more thinking one step further. Where does the ball end up after you have one bounce? Because once you move up a little bit in levels, the
hmm
people let the ball go. So that's where the second bounce is usually. That is important, right? Uh,
mm,
Trying to open the mind of the people a little bit and not like getting stuck in these faster, faster, faster mistake patterns that maybe fast, 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 and then being able to like to slow the tempo down. Because I
mm,
feel that's like the majority of people I coach here, they often get stuck in faster and faster rallies and not
mm,
really thinking of where they're playing, but more thinking about the speed of the ball because it's cool
mm.
to hit hard.
Well, and then on top of that, thinking about where you should position yourself once they get the ball, because chances are at the good level, they're going to get to that ball, even if you're thinking about the space. But what I'm taking away from you, Fredrik, is first of all, you have to have a certain level, be able to hit within half a meter where you want to hit that ball, obviously in. And then second of all, to think about where the ball lands as second bounce. That's what you need to think about. And those are some really interesting
I can do
insights.
a good example. Let's say I'm at the net, right? I'll serve and I'll play my first volley like straight down the middle. But I want to play the ball without hitting the wall of the second bounce. So I want my first contact to be like say like 1 meter within the service line, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you don't catch that ball before the second bounce, it's just gonna die. But
Right,
even if you catch it, I've moved you all the way to the middle, right? So now your corner
right,
is, and for you to hit a lob off that shot is not so easy. So if I go
right.
close, I have your corner on the next one. That's like just a simple pattern, right? But if I give you the rebound on that volley, most likely you'll be able to lob me. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
of
But
course.
play that first volley short enough, the chance for
Mm-hmm.
me attacking your corner is a lot higher. But
And what you're bringing up there is this notion of the series or the sequence and
yeah,
knowing what's going to happen, what he can do. Well, given that ball, I can cheat up top of the net, bang, pop it down into the corner because he's going to have no time to maneuver. But if, oh, I didn't hit it well, up, I need to think maybe take a step back. He might even do a Chiquita on me, but I've given a too easy ball for a good lob. So
yeah,
you're always moving in consequence of your ability.
yeah. This thing of not like giving up your position based on your shot is like a huge thing. I feel like people need to work a lot more on, because they're
I
often in a really good net position and they play one volley a little bit too hard, huge rebound, lob, they lose the net. You know, so like being able to control that pace once you're in the attacking position. I think I'm preaching that a lot down here, at least, because people they love
mm,
to, when they're in the net, they just go go bazooka style, you know, fast.
right. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
especially the tennis players, eh? Because they that's what they want
yeah,
to
and that's
nail it.
fine
I mean,
enough if you can finish the point. I don't care, but if the people on the other side move pretty decently, it's just giving up your position, right? But
yeah.
that was like a super easy pattern though, just to make you understand the volley down the middle, opening the corner, but depending on the bounce you give of the wall though.
All right. So a player like you, obviously very knowledgeable now, really getting, your way up there in the good stratosphere. But I'm guessing, even though you're still working on some shots, what sort of shots is Fredrik Ask working on that wants to
Oh,
improve on?
I would say my transition. If I'm being like pinned down, I would be able to hit a few more lower shots before I turn to the lob,
Hmm.
like off the walls and really back in the court to be even better at playing the fast low ones. Because
Right. Well,
sometimes I need to let it hang in the air a little bit too much. Once I'm pressured,
mhm.
of course, people tap it out directly. So I would say that's what I'm working on mostly now, because my Chiquita game and that stuff and lobs are fine. But I want to be even
Mm,
better to play 1, 2, 3, 4 low, fast ones without them being
mm.
able to come on top of the net and finish me.
Right. So that's even more important in the faster courts because that's more likely if you have anything up, that's the end of the point. So you've
Exactly.
got to keep going and keep going and not to succumb to I need a rest. So you pop up a
Exactly.
lob thinking I'm going to
'Cause
get back my position, but you're screwed because bang, out it goes.
I'm thinking of that ball that you can't play a lob off, but it's so low that if you just half lob it, it's over, you know? That's the ball I'm
Hmm.
thinking.
I do.
So,
I get it.
yeah. So that one I'm trying to get even better at.
So if you just specifically thinking about that shot,
Hmm.
who's your favorite player to look at and say that they, woman or man, who really knows how to get all those shots back? Is there anyone in mind that comes to
I
you?
mean, even if I'm lefty, I would probably say Chingotto.
Uh-huh.
The way like he gets out of the tricky situations is quite remarkable.
Yeah, he's short, so he gets down low,
Yeah,
and he's got
could be
great.
because he's so short.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But no, the way he like gets out of horrible positions and like turns the into attack, it's pretty amazing to watch when you like study him. He's
Yeah,
the master of getting out of trouble.
yeah. And he always has a smile on his face. I mean,
He
God
does.
bless him
He
for
loves
having
it.
that.
I would smile too if I'm digging up that many balls.
Oh, no kidding, right? Well, he brings joy to my face. And you mentioned in the little questionnaire I sent out before that your favorite player overall is Agustin Tapia.
Yeah.
And what, so explain to me why he's your favorite player, because he
No, I don't
plays,
know
of
if
course,
you
on
have
the left.
experienced the same thing, but when I'm looking at him, it looks kind of like it's slow motion because you see that he sees where the ball comes at just a little bit before everybody else.
Yeah.
So he's always like in a slightly better position to do the shot he wants. And that's always been like something I noticed about him. It's not that he's not moving, right? Because he's moving like crazy, but he has that ability to like foresee what's coming just a little second before the others. And yeah, I think that's you can't train that really. It's just he's born with that ability to.
I would say Galan has a similar
Yeah,
ability.
yeah,
He
yeah.
looks
Of
like
course.
he sees the ball ahead of time, which gets you to play the magic shots, the you know, the behind your backs and, you know, between the legs and all that quicker, because all right, I could do it another way, but I have a choice even, as
Hmm.
opposed to, you know, you know, no other option. But what is it that, if you're thinking about that kind of an ability, even though you can't train it, when you're coaching people, because I mean, I think of this in particular, what is it that what you need to do to try to go towards that?
To make people being able to slightly do this more, you mean?
Yeah, yeah. Like, so any normal person who's playing, what is it that we need to do in order to be closer to that?
But that's what's fascinating about paddle, right? So if you're at the back, let's say defending, and the ball comes to you off a vibora or something, there is I don't know how many thousand different variables and points it can hit behind you, right? So your subconscious has to like somehow over time learn all these different escape routes of the ball from the corner behind you. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what fascinates me about paddle because I still find myself sometimes even if I play 10 years now, right? And the ball
Mm-hmm.
comes with a certain spin to the corner, and I would say 90% of the time I know where it's going to come. Doesn't matter. But sometimes still there's a new trajectory or a new spin or a
Yeah,
new angle that
yeah.
I'm
And
okay.
you're like, oh my God.
It went a little bit more there than I thought. Like
Yeah,
before it
yeah,
was meters,
yeah.
but now it's
Yep,
like,
yep, yep, yep.
like in within this vector. But still,
But even 5 centimeters makes a difference, because it's
of
closer
course,
into your
you,
body, or you're
yeah.
not, it's a little bit further out and you don't have the exact feel that you want to have.
So that's what amazes me most about paddle, and I think it's just a matter of like spending a lot of times making your subconscious see the patterns of the ball enough times to learn all of them, and that's why people like some people do too many lessons with baskets. I'm not a huge fan because you'll miss out on the thing we're talking about now, like the natural line of the ball towards you with the different spins that you won't really get from a basket. But still, people are putting like 80% into private coaching, and then playing maybe 20%.
Well,
Uh,
presumably a part of that might be because of the way the ball got to him or her on the other side. So if
mhm,
the ball came with a kind of an inside out spin trajectory, when you hit the vibra on a ball that's moving that way, even though you got a good strike on it, it's
mhm.
still going to have an impact on the genuineness of the spin, if unless you took it out of a, you know, if you take it out of a basket, it's it's neutral. Whereas when it comes to the vibra, the person playing it, the way it arrives is going to have an impact.
Exactly. So what I often do is like people ask me how should I train. I often like preach that go like do it simple. Like go with your body and work. Of course, work on the technical things that we have done in the lesson. But go like one guy at the net, one at the back. Play volleys to the fence. Oh, just go straight. See if you can do 20, 30 in a row defending straight. And then once you like master that, go cross court. Do the same thing. Put
Mm-hmm.
the guy in cross court. So you have that feeling of the live ball. Like you say, it's with the different spins, with the different heights. So you're
Mm.
not getting accustomed to the just neutral, because I think that hurts people a lot when they start playing match. It's one of
Mm-hmm.
the main thing people tell me is, oh, I came to the match and I couldn't do anything.
Right.
And I was thinking about the technique, and I was, so I think you have to like be very cautious about separating those two. When you train technique, it's the technique, right? But once you go into the match, you have to just or the training match, let's say, you have to just play on instinct and just like learn by doing. You can't be there trying to think of 9 technical aspects, you know.
Right.
And
That's a great insight.
learn the thing of Tapia, the understanding, because he probably has millions of hours right in the court just standing there. So it's like imprinted into his brain.
The other thing that I think about, and this is probably, well, I mean, it is completely appropriate for any racket sport, is watching the ball off the opponent's racket. When where he or she is striking the ball, how he's striking, how is it coming off? The thing I was a reasonably good tennis player in my youth. I would say I want to be able to read the writing on the ball. The idea was, and ideally when you're in flow, then all of a sudden the ball looks about 4 times bigger than it is, and you're seeing how it's spinning in the air, and that's going to give you all that kind of a reading for ground, wall hit.
Exactly. Yeah. No, watching the face of the racket is a big thing. I think we do it a lot as professionals, but I don't think that we're thinking about doing it. You know what I mean? It's like it's just happening. But of course, if you see a guy with a completely open racket, you know he's not going to hit to your feet.
Right.
You know the likeliness of it being a lob or underspin is bigger.
Hey.
That's just automatic. You just react on it, right? But I get what you're saying. So maybe people coming up and learning could learn more from actually watching the racket, like you say. That's interesting.
Well, I'm an old guy, so in order for me to be able to anticipate, I not only want to do that, of course, I'm thinking about then, all right, oops, he's going to do this type of an action. It's a bandeja or it's a vibora or whatever. And it's going to do this kind of an action. Because I, unlike you, I don't have the ability to adjust so well. So I'm always going to be slower. But you know, that's the way it is when you get older.
But you're reading the hand and you're focused about looking at the hand. That's a cool aspect. Because like you say, we have all these things that we do that we don't think about, but when I speak to you, I'm thinking that you're probably thinking about that, you know. So it's interesting.
Yeah, that's why I love having these conversations and talking a little bit in the weeds about what's going on. So you're presently in Saudi. Give us a little bit of a spiel on the Saudi players. How do you see I'm going to have one of the Saudi women national team coming on the podcast in a little bit. How do you see Saudi's paddle going?
Oh, it's like becoming the national sport down here, man. It's there's paddle courts everywhere, and they're also really like cautious about getting the knowledge, because in other countries, we like in Norway, we just played, you know, for 3-4 years without wasn't much coaching. We just played. But here, I feel like they're very like determined in doing well and like going up fast, because they want to be good, of course. Probably because Dubai and Kuwait and these countries are a little bit ahead. So I think they really
Dubai isn't necessarily Emiratis playing, shall we say?
But they want to catch up though here. They're like taking in a lot of people with knowledge, and so no, they seem very determined to do well, and I'm sure they give them 2-3 years, and I think they're gonna have probably players doing well in the FIPS and stuff. Not talking like top 30, top 40, but like good players, because there's a lot of people with talent here, but they need guiding and a few more years on their back. But yeah, everybody's playing paddle here. It's crazy.
Love it.
Even like when I played a training match yesterday, and like 30 people showed up in the local club to see the training, just because it was someone new playing, you know, and their genuine love for paddle is so big that okay, we gotta go and see who this new guy is. Suddenly there is 30 people with coffee, like enjoying the match. So it's great.
Well, it's true that even at a lesser level, it can be entertaining to watch. Presuming all 4 are the same level. Even at our club championships, we had a bunch of people playing and saying it was entertaining, even though there are lots of screw ups. What about partnership? Your partner. How do you go about finding the right partner for you, especially as a lefty?
This is the nightmare of paddle, man. They're finding the partner. Because you can think of me like, usually when you get to a certain level, people want to live at the same country and train with the people, pips or whatever with. And me living in Norway, it's very difficult. So I would last few years, I would be changing partners like here and there, because it's hard to like start a project if you're not training together. So I would
to find another good player.
yeah, I would reach out to my contacts in Spain, you know, and like, hey, you want to play this one, and then the next week it's like, oh, you want to go there, and different guy, and but it's not really like this is an advantage for the top players, because if you notice, like everybody above, like you say, 30 in the rankings, they're switching so much. So the best players are training together every day, and all the people under them are switching and doing this and trying new things. So it's even harder to break through, like in the. So I think paddle players in general should be a little bit more patient. They should stay a bit longer, because I see so many couples play 1 week and they do bad and they split up. You know, like to create this chemistry in court, it takes time. Just look at the double circuit in tennis. They don't switch every week. No chance. They play maybe a year together and then they figure out, okay, we're gonna switch. But you have to give it time, right, to adapt and to each other's strengths and play each other good. And yeah, so that's what I was most surprised about when I came into paddle, that the partner switches are like so frequent. But the
Do
grass
you
is not
think
always greener, right? We know that.
that's true? Well, maybe part of that is because I really need the project to win quickly for money reasons. Because you know, as you said at the beginning, if you're not in the high end, it's all about how much you're spending as opposed
Yeah,
to
yeah,
earning. And if it's not working within one, oh shit, if this reproduces, I'm going to be, you know,
yeah,
out some more money.
yeah. But I don't think you can like know if you will play well together before you have spent at least a few months, like, you know, like to really like get the potential out of your partner. One or two
How
tournaments too quick.
how much do you believe the off-court relationship is important in
Oh, I
the
think it's
on-court?
important because you obviously spend so much time together, right, with the partner. So I think that's tremendously important for the chemistry. Because once you enter the court, you want to have that good vibe. You know, you don't want to. Yeah, at least for me, it's important. I don't know for everybody. Some people are probably more business like about it, but
Yeah, Thomas Leg, the French guy, said he doesn't really care about the off-court. It does happen, but I specifically feel like it's even more important than in a tennis, especially in men's tennis.
yeah.
Do you agree with that?
All right, let's say like this. I was thinking about it now. If the on-court relationship is really like good and you understand each other and play well, and everything is like smooth, no like, yeah, no fighting or whatever, then I probably wouldn't care so much about the outside. If it's like I just enter the court and I feel great with the guy, you know what I mean?
I
But if I
do.
that some aspects of the outside life is like transferring in, or he's keeping a grudge from something outside, then
Mm,
like it wouldn't add up for me. But if we could keep it like that professional, that once I enter, I feel great. I don't care a
mm,
slightly bit if I don't see him outside or if he's being like this, you know? That
mm.
would be my approach to it. But I like that
It's
both
so
work, because you spend so much time and you travel, and like now I'm also older, so I need to have a good life outside of the court.
life is short. But
Yeah,
here's why I think in paddle it's a little bit more like that is because the points are longer, and therefore there's more happening in paddle, so
between
that
the
when you're talking between points, because in that point, last point, it was 30 shots. So
yeah,
in the 20 seconds we have together, we have to talk about stuff. And the way you talk about it, if you're condescending or you're bringing in something that's in a way, the form is not as good, then you can get
yeah,
upset very quickly. And that'll immediately start impacting because you're in these 20 seconds. Whereas in tennis, lawn tennis, it's bada bing, bada bang. You know, you didn't hit the service down the line. I said we're doing this down the line. All right, well, I'll fix that next time. And the amount of variety in the conversation seems much less in lawn tennis doubles than it is in paddle.
yeah. No, that's for sure. There's maybe not more advanced conversations, but more things happening. Yeah,
Mm,
more like dependent of your partner over a long period of time. So it has
yeah,
to be like smoothless communication over, like you say, longer time. Tennis is just like one serve, one volley,
yeah.
and finish it. But you need to have a really good focus and
Mm,
pattern those 3 shots. But I don't know what the tennis doubles average shot length is, but it's probably between 3 and 4 shots, if not.
that's right. It's a little bit more in women's. All right, last question for you, Fredrik. It's been great having you on. This is the joy of paddle. I always like to talk about a
Yeah.
little bit of joy. You've been playing for 10 years. Can you think of a funny moment that brought you particular joy in paddle over your 10 years?
Oh, good question. Maybe let's say when I was playing the European Championship one year, I had played only for like 2 or 3 years, and we were in the group with Spain, of course.
Uh-oh.
So we had yeah, that was the first time I like really experienced that level. But I was like, I remember the first game, I was like saying to my partner, they're playing slower than us. Why are
Ha!
we not winning? You know, like this is so slow. I thought it was going fast, professional paddle, you know. But we ended up like losing 6-1, 6-2 or something. But that was like an eye opener.
Yeah.
Ruiz and Botello. Remember when they were like top 5 in the world for a period?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
That
Yeah.
was that year when they had like that really super year. I think they were 5 and 6 in the world or something. So, but that was funny because that really like did something. I was like, okay, don't really have to hit hard all the time. This is nice.
Yeah.
You can just place the ball.
Yeah. And it
uh,
just goes where I want it. And
yeah, like we lost, like we got destroyed, but it was a happy moment for me because that made me like understand so much more of paddle.
the proof that you can learn by losing.
Exactly, and it was
Eh,
outdoors, right?
uh,
So you
right.
can't hit hard on everything when the ball is going like this. You have to, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
the statistic that I have is that 70% of the pro shots are riskless shots.
yeah.
They're just pushing the ball back. There's a sequence. I'm going to get to that where I want to get it in 4 or 5 shots from now. But here's one down the middle, one on the side. Vibora, not trying to kill it, Vibora, then a little bit more cheeky, a little bit harder, and then all of a sudden, then a bada bing.
And when you start noticing, they always play their shot in as in correlation to where they want to place their body before the guy makes the contact. So the speed will always vary depending on where he wants to go. So you see different players with their favorite position. They will play the exact speed for them to go to that position often. So it's yeah. Now paddle has like so many different like how do you say stages and levels and like under levels of understanding, and then you just keep getting amazed that the better you get. Can't stop learning in this game, and that's what I
Well,
like.
you're smiling, you're learning, you're having fun, and that's after 10 years of in the trenches. So great to have you on the show. Thank you so much, Fredrik.
Thank you
I
so
do
much
hope we
for
have a
being on.
chance. We will
I look
meet
forward
one time.
to seeing it being published.
I'll let you know.
Thank you, man. Great being on.
Likewise.